Welcome to the Women on Weights podcast. I am Coach Lori, and I am so excited to be your host for this podcast. We're going to be talking about everything weight training, everything nutrition, everything cardio, all the things that you want to know about when it comes to women and weight training. I am so excited to take this journey with you. Let's go. Today, we're going to talk about how long until you see results. This has been a question that was brought to me, and just keep in mind that anytime you have a question of any sort, make sure that you let me know. I'm more than happy to answer all of your questions, okay? So let's talk about this a little bit. So how long does it take to see results? I have a client who had said, when I started this journey, I wanted to lose weight like super quickly. I wanted to lose inches super quickly, and I just don't know what to expect. I don't know when I'm going to start losing the weight. So I want to kind of give some tips on, what the process is and how long it can possibly take to start seeing results. I know it can be super frustrating when you eat right and you exercise and you do all of this and you just did not lose those 10 pounds right away. It can be extremely frustrating. So I want to give you some realistic expectations, realistic goals on how you're going to see results. So the first thing I want to talk about though first is that we need to fix our why. Okay. So here's the deal. You start working out and you say, I want to lose 10 pounds, and that's your goal. And that's your goal. And that's what you want to have be your goal. And if that doesn't happen and you don't lose 10 pounds in, a certain amount of time, you're not happy. So here's what we need to do first before we start our fitness journey is we need to have a firm why. If you do not have a firm and good why, you're never going to reach your goals. Now, let me explain something of how that happens. So if you say, I'm going to start my journey because I want to lose 10 pounds, but you do not have a defining reason you want to lose those 10 pounds except for I just want to look good, you're probably going to be disappointed. Okay. You're probably not going to, want to continue if you don't lose those 10 pounds. And you're probably going to just, it's not going to be a good feeling. So define your why. Why do you want to lose 10 pounds? What is the reason that you want to have a little bit thinner of a waist? Or what is the reason that you want to be stronger? What is the reason? What are all these reasons? Okay. So you got to dive deep and say, what is my why? Okay. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to be leaner. I want to be stronger. I want to be faster. Well, why? Okay. If you're a parent, do you want to be able to keep up with your kids and, do everything you can to see them as long as you can, for as long as you can, and be able to be active with them as long as you can? Do you want to do a sport? Do you want to be really strong in that sport and try to put yourself again above somebody else? Is that your why? Is it just that you haven't been taking care of you for a very, very, very long time? And now it's finally like, it is time for me. And I'm going to do everything that I need to do for me to get there. Those are three better whys than just, I want to lose weight. I want to fit better in my clothes, and I want this and this. Okay. Now, all of those things you can have be goals, but you have to understand why. It has to be much deeper than that. It has to be something that is built in that really wants you to get there, and not just that the end result is going to matter. You've also got to set your expectations that it is not an easy road here. Okay. It wasn't honestly easy to get there. It took years and years and years to get to where you are. It's going to take time to stop some of those habits and stop some of the things that you've, been doing to help you get where you want to be. Okay. So make sure that you realize that things don't happen overnight. You didn't gain the weight overnight. You're going to not lose the weight overnight. You didn't gain the habits overnight. You're not going to change your habits overnight. You don't have any of those kind of abilities. It's just not going to work. It's not a snap. Okay. You have to plan it as a journey. And you have to think about it as you go along. What milestones do you want to hit? What things, non-scale victories, non-measurement victories, all these things, what's going to keep you motivated and pushing through? Is it going to be your kids? Is it going to be that you do not want to have a heart attack because someone in your family has a heart attack or had a heart attack? Is it because you just don't feel good? Is it because you have lost yourself? Those are going to be your defining reasons. Those are going to be your whys. Once you set that why, I am very happy to help you, give you some tips of what you can do to get there, but set your why first. Okay. So let's start let me explain kind of the process as a trainer and what I do with my clients and what I do with my online program and in person. Generally speaking, when you first start something, you don't want to go all in and do 5 million, of everything, because you're never going to get through it. You don't want to start off with weight training 7 days a week and cutting all of your carbs, taking everything out of your cupboard and making sure that you're running and you just don't want to start that way. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to start slow and we want to go from there. So usually what I tell people within the first 4 weeks, is generally start lifting weights. Okay. We're going to start lifting our weights. Okay. Usually 1 day a week is good. A lot of people do start with 2 days a week. That is just fine. You don't need to go crazy. You don't need to, oh my gosh, now I need to change everything. No, just start weight training. Okay. Then while you're weight training, I always give the option, and I love for my clients in all of my programs to do measurements on day 1. Measurements to me are more important than the scale. So basically, when you're weight training, your muscle is leaner than fat, right? So a pound of fat looks like this. A pound of muscle looks like this. So which would you prefer to have? This pound of fat or this pound of muscle? So basically what we're saying is that muscle is more dense than fat. So the more muscle you have, the less fat, and it's going to burn more fat, all that kind of good stuff. Okay. So we definitely want to start with the weight training. We want to start measuring, and so that we can start seeing differences in long, lean muscle, and maybe not on the scale. I actually never put anybody on the scale from at first. I just don't want to do that. I don't think you're going to see the results you want to see. It messes with your head. It's just not good. So we just don't do that. We'll just take some measurements and we'll go from there. Okay. You're going to start your at least 1 day a week of strength training. Okay. So keep that in mind. We don't need to go crazy. Don't need to go gung ho. We're going to start with that 1 week of strength training. Are you going to see drastic changes from changing that kind of stuff in the first week? Probably not. Okay. But you're going to start feeling stronger. You might be a little sore, but you're going to start feeling like, okay, this is different. This is different than what I've been doing. I feel good. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go and prioritize our sleep. So make sure that you're sleeping. Make sure you try to go to bed at the same time each night. Make sure that you try to wake up at the same time each morning. And not just on the weekdays. We want to try to do this on the weekends too, so that we can really keep our sleep, our rhythm going. So we're not exhausted during the day. Sleep has so much to do with weight loss. I don't think people give it enough credit. Everybody thinks I got to push, and I got to diet all day long, and sleep, that's just on the back end. Who cares about that? Sleep is just as important as everything else. So keep that in mind and really, really, really prioritize that sleep, especially in the first days. You're going to get used to those kind of habits. What I see in the first, 4 weeks as well is that you just want to eat like normal, because you can't change everything. We don't want to go crazy. Okay. So again, we're going to start that weight training. We're going to basically make sure that we are prioritizing sleep, and then we're going to eat like we normally do. This is a good chance too, to kind of send to your coach, if you have a coach, or, send to somebody, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm eating. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to feel bad like, oh, coach, oh my gosh, this is what I ate. I'm a horrible person. Absolutely not. All it is eat whatever you want. And if you feel like it, you can let your coach know what you're doing. That is not necessary either. Just eat however you want. Add in the weight training, add in the sleep, prioritizing all of that. Avoid processed foods. That's going to be a big one that you could do. So generally speaking, if you are shopping, and I don't know if you've heard this before, but it's a very, very good rule of thumb. If you are shopping and you are doing the outer part of the grocery store, okay? So if you think about when you go into a grocery store, what is everything on the outer circle? That's going to be everything that's not in a box, not in a can, not in a freezer, not in any of that kind of stuff. Okay. It's going to be your vegetables. It's going to be your grains. It's going to be your dairy. It's going to be all of the things on the outside, everything inside that's in the aisles and in boxes and in all that and those types of things, or in the freezers and all of that. Those are generally going to be processed foods. So if you can do your best to avoid processed foods, that's something you can do in month 1. Do you have to avoid them completely? Absolutely not. But this process, I want you to think about, okay, so we are slowly going into this. Are we going to see amazing, crazy results from these changes? We're going to see some, but we're not going to see tons and tons and tons of things. We're not going to be losing 20 pounds. So I just want to give you some of these ideas of how I do my programming for my clients so you can kind of see what it means to actually go through this process and give it time to actually start seeing weight loss, or whatever your goals might be. Again, avoiding processed foods, not the hardest thing to do in the world. Do your best to avoid it. Don't take them all out completely, but just do your best to avoid it. Shop on the outer side of the grocery store. The next thing we want to do during the first 4 weeks is we want to add water, lots of water. Okay. Most of us are not drinking enough water. We think we are, but we're not. I usually try to get my clients to drink at least half of their body weight in water. Okay. And some people are like, oh my gosh, that is so much water. I'm going to be peeing all the time, doing all these crazy things. Here's the deal. Your body does get used to it. I drink a lot of water throughout the day. I have a lot of clients that drink a lot of water throughout the day. It does start off probably where you are going, to the restroom more often than you want to. And it's a little frustrating and it's a little crazy, but it gets better. Okay. And something you can do too is maybe with some of the water, you can add some electrolytes in there while you're drinking your water, because that helps you, it actually sustain and go where it needs to go and not just rush right through you. And a lot of times when we do start strength training and we do start exercising, we may not have enough of those electrolytes. So we want to make sure that we get some. I definitely love the noon electrolytes. I usually put just a little bit of those at least once a day, especially when I'm working out, to make sure that my water really, really gets in there. I get some salt, I get the things that I need, or I'm sorry, the electrolytes in there, get the things that I need. So again, and that also prevents you from needing to go to the restroom every 5 seconds too. And this might be something that takes a little bit of time, but what's great about it is you can say, I'm going to take that Coke that I normally drink and drink water instead. So instead of taking away things, you're going to add things in. So pretty soon you're not going to need the Coke or the other things that you're drinking because you're drinking so much water. You're not going to really have space for those. Okay. Same thing with the processed food. If you're eating so much more healthy food, you're not going to have room or really want a lot of that processed food. So again, these are small steps. Definitely not easy to do and probably not doing it. But these are steps that everybody should be able to attain within the first 4 weeks. And think about what your thoughts are on, okay, am I going to lose crazy, tremendous amount of things in that first 4 weeks? When you think about the process that we go to that is healthy, that is attainable, and things that we can do. First 4 weeks, are we going to see a ton? Probably not a ton. Are we going to feel better? Absolutely. Okay. So that's when we need to start thinking about our non-scale victories. That's when we need to start thinking about the things that are not our extreme goal, that we want to lose this, we want to do this, we want to do that. That's when we need to start thinking about those things. This is at that point. Okay. Because basically we are doing everything that we can. We are changing habits one by one by one by one by one. Okay. Changing those habits is going to take time. This entire process, changing your mindset, is going to take time. Finding time, going to the grocery store, all of these things are going to take time. So give yourself that time. Give yourself that 4-week grace of like, okay, wow, okay, this is going to take some time, but I'm absolutely feeling better. Maybe you go to the grocery store with a little bit more energy. Maybe you go to work with a little bit more energy one day. Maybe you are feeling so good from the water. You're feeling so much more energized because you've got this water now that you're doing. You're going to feel differently in the first 4 weeks, whether or not you see it on the scale, whether or not you see it in your measurements, whether or not you see it in the mirror, you're going to feel better. Okay. So that's a non-scale victory. And you need to write down how you feel better. And you need to remember how you're feeling better, because that's going to be so important. And that's going to help you get to your why as well. If it is only about how you look, if it is only that I want to look this way in the mirror, you're going to be pretty dang disappointed the first 4 weeks. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. I'm not going to lie to you. You got to make some changes. It takes time for this stuff. We're going to feel so much better. Okay. Things might change. You might start feeling, stronger. You might start feeling like you can breathe better. You're going to feel all these things, but keep in mind, we're in the first 4 weeks still. We're not making extreme, drastic changes to see extreme, drastic changes. When you think about how extreme it is to lose 1 body inch, when you think how extreme it is to lose 1 pound of weight, it is a lot more than you think it is. And it's a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. So keep in mind of that. Okay. Losing weight is not an easy thing to do. It's a process. Okay. And we're going to get there, but we don't need to get there in the first 4 weeks. Okay. I also don't think you should focus on anything. We take your measurements in my programming at the very beginning, and then we forget about it. We don't think about it. We do not weigh ourselves every single day. Oh my goodness, guys. Please, 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 if you get anything from what I'm saying today, is we do not need to base our value on the number on that scale. And if we base our value on the number on that scale, once again, we are going to be extremely disappointed. We are going to want to stop, and we are not going to want to continue. That is not the way that we need to do things. Okay. What we need to do is we need to focus on, am I doing the things that I can do in this first month with everything else going on in my life, and giving myself some grace, because my life I wasn't doing these things before and my life was busy. Now I'm adding in these things that's adding more to my life. Okay. But I know in my heart, I want to be stronger for my children. I want to make sure that I don't get heart disease that like my mother did. I want to make sure all of these things that are, once again, your why. Okay. Not what I want to look like. Okay. Or what I want other people to see in me. Not going to work. It's not going to work. It's going to be defeating, and it's going to be disappointing. Okay. I have been in this industry for 18, 19 years. Okay. Anybody whose goal is, I want to look so good, so fast, is disappointed every single time. Okay. It's not a fast process. That's not what we're here for. We're here for a lifelong journey together. This is now, you are starting something lifelong, and you need to look at it that way too. This isn't just, I'm going to the beach in 4 weeks and I need to get lean. Okay. So let's get lean. Let's do this. Let's do Coach Lori, tell me everything that I need to do to get lean for the beach or for the summer. And then after that, I don't need to talk to you anymore. I'm good. I'm going to lose that weight. And then I don't care after that, right? Because I'm just going to be home and nobody cares what I look like at home, and on and on and on and on. No, a beach trip, a cruise can be a great thing to keep you motivated, but that should not be your end goal. Okay. Our end goal should be for the rest of our entire life. Our end goal should be when we are on our deathbed, we are saying we did everything that we could to be healthy. Okay. Don't weigh yourself. Do not weigh yourself, especially in the first 4 weeks. If you want to weigh yourself after that, there's nothing that I'm going to say. I just know that majority of my clients do not want to weigh themselves. But if that is something that keeps you motivated, do it, but just don't do it for the first 4 weeks, especially when we're adding in that weight training. Once again, you're probably going to be disappointed. Okay. When you think about the fat, which is probably quadruple the size of what muscle is. And if we're building muscle and we're burning fat, the muscle is going to be so much more dense. So once again, it may not look on the scale that we are leaning out, but we actually are, because we are actually building muscle, which is more dense than fat. And building that muscle is going to be burning the fat. Okay. So first 4 weeks, we are not getting on scales. Okay. All we're doing is we are going to figure out our why. Okay. We're going to measure. We are going to prioritize our sleep, make sure we're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, make sure we're going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time. One of the most important parts that everybody forgets is sleep. It's huge. Okay. We're going to eat like normal, but we're going to try to avoid processed foods. Eat like you normally do. Do your best to avoid processed foods. Don't think about anything else when it comes to diet. You cannot throw that on to this now. You're starting something new. Don't throw that in. Okay. You're going to hit your water target, half your body weight. Try to hit it. Do your best. Slowly process into this too if it's way too hard. Okay. But also know that you can take other drinks out throughout the day, throw water in there instead. Okay. Some people don't like the flavor. Add lemon, add fruit, add different types of things that don't have a lot of calories. Feel free to add that in there. Add some electrolytes, whatever you need to do to get you to start drinking some water and like it, enjoy it. And here's the cool thing with water is that a lot of people don't like it when they start, but then once they keep doing it, their body actually craves it. And your body is like, okay, the Coke is not going to satisfy me right now. My body wants water. And that's when you know you're like, whew, all right, my body wants water. This is good stuff, right? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Make sure that we are not weighing ourselves. I've talked about this before with the scale, but when you wake up in the morning and the first thing that you do is you go to the restroom, take off, make sure all your clothes are off, and you get on the scale and you see that number, that is going to decide your entire day. Why do we want that number to decide our entire day? What good is that going to do for us, especially in the first 4 weeks? Okay. First 4 weeks, get off this. It's not, no, no, no. If something changes, bonus, but we're not going to know because we're not getting on it. Okay. That's bottom line. Are you feeling better? Every day, what I want you to do instead of getting on the scale is thinking, do I feel good today? Did I get enough sleep? Am I focusing on my water? Am I doing all of these things that we had talked about? That's what I want you to focus on in the first 4 weeks. And I want you to focus on not having the results that you think that you should have. I want you to focus on all of the non-scale victories. Are you happier around your children? Are you happier to your spouse? Are you happier with yourself? Do you feel better? Pretty simple. Okay. 4 weeks plus. What are we going to do? Well, now, okay, we're used to kind of cutting out those processed foods. We're used to, we've been eating kind of like normal, cutting out those processed foods. We're used to drinking the water now, or we're getting used to doing it. We're getting used to the sleep. We're doing all these things. So now we can add our protein intake. Okay. So what I always try to tell my clients to do is to try to eat half of your body weight. Here's the goal. Try to eat either half of your body weight in protein, or if you're trying to lose weight, what you're going to do is you're going to eat half of your goal body weight. So say you're 170 pounds, your goal body weight is 140 pounds, then 140 pounds, you're going to divide by 2, and that's how much protein you're going to have. Okay. If you are happy with your body weight and you're sustaining and you want to weight train and you want to do these things, then you do half of your body weight. So half of your goal body weight or half of your body weight in protein. Okay. I have a whole podcast giving tips on protein options. If you want to go back to the protein, it's part of the nutrition podcast and talks about all kinds of protein. And if you want more on protein, please let me know. I'm more than happy to keep talking about protein in future podcasts. So just let me know. You can comment below saying that you want some of that. Again, half of your body weight. Let's get that in protein. Okay. Lots of options we can do. Okay. Maybe now you get a little bit more into the tracking of your food. Okay. Some people this works for, some people this doesn't. Okay. I would say try it. See if it works for you. It can make people, sometimes people crazy. It can make people, whatever, but try it. If it makes you go crazy and you're getting super, into all this stuff and it's making your mind go crazy and it's too much on you, then stop doing it. Okay. But it is a good idea to really kind of track what you're doing, especially now that you've taken out the processed foods. You're drinking a lot more water. You're probably making a little bit better decisions with your food. Track it and then talk to your coach. I love for people to track. They send me their tracking and I look at it and I tell them maybe what they could be doing differently. I'm not a nutritionist, but I can help making sure that we're getting the protein, the carbs, and the fat. Those are our macros. If you've ever heard of macros, I'm again more than happy to talk a little bit more in depth on macros in a future podcast. But basically what it means is that we're getting protein, we're getting carbs, and we're getting fat. And every time that we eat something, we want to get a protein, a carb, and a fat with that meal, whether it be a snack, whether it be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Now, keep in mind, in order to get the protein that we're going to need to get, you are going to have to eat quite a bit. You're going to have to eat more often, if that makes sense, to get the amount of protein that you need. Okay. And you are going to have to eat protein with your snacks. You are going to have to eat it with every single meal in order to get it. We're not going to take away carbs either. Those don't need to go anywhere. And we're not going to take away healthy fats. Okay. All of that is going to stay. Also in, the second 4 weeks, we can start adding in some cardio and possibly add in more strength training. Okay. So if you were doing, 1 day of strength training, now it's probably time to do 2 days of strength training. Okay. If you were doing 2 days and it felt great and good, you can add 3 days of strength training. Okay. We also want to probably be adding in our cardio at this point. If you haven't already, if you haven't been kind of walking during the first 4 weeks, if you've just been, hey, I'm sticking to strength training, this is all I can do. That's fine. That's fine. But now let's bump up and let's get some cardio in. Let's do some walks. And what I have in my online program and what I tell my in-person clients to do is usually 30 minutes of just like a regular steady state walk. Then I want us to do like 30 minutes of a HIIT walk. And then another day might be an interval walk. Okay. So again, these are ways of, getting the steady state, getting intervals. It all burns fat in different ways. But just start walking even. Like if you just want to just start walking, giving yourself like 30 minutes to walk per day, you can do that. Again, with my program, I have a podcast with the walk, so you can listen to things that I'm saying, but you can also get that walk in. It'll time you. It'll do all that kind of good stuff. So it's just kind of good to be motivated and stay motivated. So if you don't want to listen to my podcast, listen to another podcast to stay motivated. Listen to your favorite music. Do whatever you need to do, but add in that walking. Okay. So now again, we are just in week 5 now, right? We've gone through 4 weeks. We're in week 5 right now. We are just now incorporating more cardio. Okay. We're incorporating more weight training. We're focusing more on our diet at this point. Okay. This is probably a good time when things are going to start changing a little bit, but we're still not going to look. We're still not going to get on the scale. We're still not going to measure ourselves. We're still not going to be down in the dumps and say, oh my gosh, this isn't working. This isn't for me. We're not going to do that. Okay. What we are going to do now is we're just going to do what we said we were going to do. We're going to do everything that we did week 1 through 4. Then we're going to add on the protein targets, the tracking our food, the step goals. Okay. Making sure that we're getting steps in, making sure that we are moving. That's really what it's about, is let's get up and move. Okay. By the end of this 4 weeks, so at the end, like 8 weeks, that's generally when I have my clients remeasure, not before then. Sometimes clients get on the scale at that point too. There's nothing I can do about it. If they want to get on the scale, get on the scale. It's all good. But usually we measure at that point, and usually there is a change. Okay. If all of these things have been implemented and they've worked to the best of their ability to get these things done, having at least 2 days a week of strength training, getting the cardio in, the diet, all of that kind of good stuff. And again, it's nothing drastic. It's nothing like we're going on this crazy diet. We're not going on this crazy cardio runs. We're not going on this intense strength training routine. We're just building up. But about 8 weeks, you're going to see some changes. You're going to see some inches lost. I've been doing this a very, 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 very long time. And it is very, very rare, very, very, very rare for us not to see a change in 8 weeks. Unless, of course, we're not doing what we need to be doing. But even if we don't follow it to a T, even if we're not perfect, you're still going to see some changes. Okay. Especially if you have a coach, if you have an accountability partner, if you have somebody there to help you, make sure that you have that. First of all, I'm going to always recommend to have a coach, whether it's me or somebody else. Make sure that you have a coach helping you, and then go from there. Okay. And then we're going to look at those measurements, and we're not going to let them make or break us. We're not going to say, oh my gosh, it wasn't 15 inches. It was only 1. We're going to say, oh my gosh, I lost 1 inch this last 8 weeks. That's huge. Do you know how much it takes to lose 1 inch? Nobody knows it. Nobody knows how hard it is except for coaches and people that are trying to lose that 1 inch. It's very, very difficult. So if you lose 1 inch, you celebrate that freaking inch. Okay. If you lose 5 inches, you celebrate it. Okay. If you're feeling way better, you're sleeping way better. If you're doing all this, again, all those non-scale victories at week 8, you're proud, you're happy, good to go. Okay. After 8 weeks, after 8 weeks is where not only if you've done everything right, and if you have the right goals and you have the right why, and you are, really working to attain your goals, this is when things become a habit. Okay. This is when things start to get fun. It really does. It can get fun before then. Weight training is fun. We have a lot of fun in getting stronger is fun. All those things are fun. But once you kind of hit after this 8 weeks, it just starts to really get enjoyable, and you really start to enjoy, you enjoy starting to go to the gym. You enjoy lifting the weight. You enjoy being with your community. If you're in a community who is training, you enjoy learning new things about diet and exercise, and you're starting to learn, you're listening to more podcasts, you're a little bit more happy. This is when things are going to change probably the most. All right. Is at this point, because you are now, okay, I've lost a few inches. I'm feeling, you're getting all of the benefits of what weight training and exercise will do for you. This is when you're going to start seeing those benefits. So then what do we do then? Okay. We don't want to plateau. We want to increase your training volume. So again, we want to try to take it to that next level. And with my programming, I have a beginner, an intermediate and advanced, where you start off with 1 workout, then you can move up to the next level where you're doing 2 workouts a week. And then you can work up to the next level where you do 3. And then of course we can go from there depending on what your goals are and what you're wanting to do. We can add in more cardio, which we do in the 3rd phase. We add in more cardio. which is not crazy cardio. Usually I'm just walking, okay, for the cardio. You can do whatever you want for your cardio, but the thing is that what we want to do is we want to just try to increase our training volume. Okay. We're going to focus again more and more on the diet. We're going to talk to our coach about our macros. But we're not going to go crazy over it and think, oh my gosh, I can't make any mistakes and I can't do anything. We're not going to do that. We're going to eat. Okay. We're going to have a, pizza every once in a while. We're going to do everything that we can to sustain these things without going crazy and without going too far, because we want to be able to stick with this. We want to be able to have that longevity. Okay. We're going to increase the training volume. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to love everything that the fitness journey has for us. And I'm going to tell you, as a coach, there is nothing greater than to see when someone gets to this point. It took time. It took effort. It took soreness. It took feeling defeated. It took feeling weak. It took feeling unworthy. It took realizing that you need 1 hour to yourself. It took putting yourself first. It took wanting it for a very important reason, not just to look good in the mirror. It took a very important reason. Before we go, I'm just going to give you something to think about when you're thinking about your why, and, just something to kind of compare it to. When you're thinking about your why, again, we don't want to just be thinking about what I'm going to look like, in the mirror. We want to think about what we're going to look like when we are at our daughter's wedding. Okay. Are we going to be at our daughter's wedding? Right? Are we going to be healthy at our daughter's wedding or our son's wedding? Are we going to be able to do the first dance with our son at their wedding? Are we going to be able to see our grandkids? And are we going to be able to play with our grandkids? Are we going to be able to keep up with our grandkids? Are we going to be able to prevent cardiovascular disease, something that might be in our family, for the future? Are we going to be able to prevent osteoporosis, which is something that most women will have to deal with unless they are strength training? Are we going to be able to mentally focus in life? Or are we going to always be down and out in life? Or are we going to have something that's we get to let go, release, and enjoy, something that's going to help us mentally, something that is going to make us a better mother, wife, person? Do we want that? Okay. I can guarantee you in 4 weeks, 18 weeks, 8 weeks, 20 weeks, you're going to feel better. The rest of it, how you look in the mirror is gravy. The fitting into your new jeans, that's all gravy. That's the cherry on top. But the main true why is going to happen very quickly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the Women on Weights podcast. I hope you learned something new and exciting and enjoyed this podcast today. I cannot wait to come to you next time with more information and more exciting things. Just so you know, I do have an online on-demand weight training program that you can do anywhere. It is an awesome program that's going to show you how to warm up to safely, efficiently, and effectively weight train. We're going to be making that core nice and strong, strengthening those muscles, and building nice, long, lean muscles. You can do 1 to 3 days a week of weight training and 1 to 3 days of cardio, and nutrition and habit coaching is all included in this. I can't wait to see you again. If you're interested in the online on demand, please click on the link in the show notes. Once again, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I cannot wait to see you next time.